Let's consider position eigenkets. That means eigenkets of position operator. We know that the eigenvalues of position operator form a continuous spectrum. So the position eigenkets also form, they are also continuous. So they span an infinite dimensional vector space, and these position eigenkets and as well as position eigenvalues are uncountably infinite. Okay. So let's look at this. In a general ket, ket alpha can be expanded in terms of these position eigenkets which are continuous like this. Integral we can look at this relation like this. We introduce an identity here and look at this part. This is the completeness condition. Integral dx double prime ket x double prime bra x double prime, that is identity. That's the completeness condition of these continuous eigenkets. So this is how we expand a general ket in terms of these eigenkets or basis kets. So we are in an infinite dimensional vector space where the basis basis kets are position eigenkets. Okay, so first of all, let us see what it means. What is the major difference between a continuous, a discrete set of eigenkets and a continuous set of eigenkets? See, in the case of discrete set of eigenkets, let us say you have an operator A, and its eigenkets are something like ket A1, ket A2, ket A3, etc. Even if the eigenkets are infinite, okay, suppose it's an infinite spectrum, just like in the case of a linear harmonic oscillator, energy eigenkets are infinite, but they are discrete, they are countably infinite, and if it is finite, then the number is finite, then also they are discrete. Okay. Now here, when you make a measurement of a, suppose consider say that the system is in a general state alpha, and we make a measurement of A. That means this operator A is acting on ket alpha. Then by the measurement of A, let's call it A measurement of A. Okay. So what happens is, the state of the system goes from this, collapses from the general state to one of these eigenkets. Okay, let's say A5. It collapses from a general state to one of the general ket to one of the eigenkets. So after the measurement, where is the system? It's in this eigenket. Okay. How do you discuss or describe the same measurement process in the case of position operator? Okay. So in position operator, initially, let's say the system is in a general state alpha. That means the system is in this type of a situation. Okay. If you expand in terms of basis states, let's say your integration is from minus infinity to plus infinity. We are considering a particle, let's say, moving in x direction. Okay, we are considering only in physical space the motion is in one dimension. Okay, but even though the particle is moving in one dimension, its position operator x, or if you measure the position, it can have infinite number of values between minus infinity and plus infinity. This is the idea. And suppose you want to detect the position of this particle at a particular point, let's say x prime. Okay, you imagine this situation, a particle is moving along the x-axis, and this is the point x prime. We want to measure the position, when the particle reaches here, we want to measure the position of the particle at the point x prime. So we place an array of detectors along the x-axis. So when the particle reaches at each position, this detector records some event. Maybe some click happens, some count is there by some mechanism. Okay, so we want to measure the position at the point x prime. So practically what happens is, if you place a detector here, it doesn't record the position or the event when the particle reaches exactly at the position x prime. Why? Because we cannot isolate this position x prime exactly. So what the detector does is consider a small interval around x prime of width delta. Okay, we can say that if x prime is, if you take as the origin, this point we can take as minus delta by 2, this point you can take as plus delta by 2. Okay, or this is x prime minus delta by 2, this is x prime plus delta by 2, this point. So the width of this region is delta. Okay, so when you place a detector here, when the particle reaches this interval, assume that delta prime is delta is very small. So when the particle reaches within this interval, then the detector records the event. It cannot record the event exactly at the position x prime because we cannot isolate that position. So the detector is practically recording a count. The particle has reached here. When in reality the particle is reached, the particle is there within this small interval. Okay. So when you make this measurement of position, what happens to the state of the system? What happens to ket alpha? How does the collapse happens during this measurement? Now the position, we can say that position is in the neighborhood of the point x prime. Okay. So how do you describe this collapse in terms of the equations? So we can say that initially the state of the system is this one, ket alpha, which is this, that is dx prime double prime, ket x double prime, gra vector x double prime. Okay, this is the initial state, and now you make a measurement. We can say position measurement or x measurement. And this measurement measures the position of the particle in the neighborhood of x prime, right? Then the collapse takes place from this general ket. Remember, this state is same as this state. So from ket alpha, it collapses to this state. The integration is not from minus infinity to plus infinity. It is from x prime minus delta by 2 to x prime plus delta by 2 of this one. This is the collapse. So here the particle is anywhere between minus infinity and plus infinity in a general state. From there it collapses to this state. What is this state? It's in the neighborhood of the position, the point x prime, the position x prime. So the integration is from x prime minus delta by 2 to x prime plus delta by 2. So this is a particular state, okay, in the neighborhood of the eigenket x prime. So why we need this type of a description? Because these eigenkets are continuous. This position eigenvalues are continuous and the eigenkets are also continuous. So this is how we describe the collapse from a general state to a particular eigenket. Actually it is to the vicinity of an eigenket. Okay, because these eigenkets are not countable. Consider this postulate. The probability of measuring the position of the system within a narrow interval dx prime around the position x prime is this. Modulus x prime, inner product between x prime alpha square or modulus square of inner product between x prime alpha times dx prime. Now this particular quantity gives the probability of measuring the position of the system within a narrow interval dx prime around the position x prime. This is related to what we have discussed just before. Initially the system, what is this ket alpha? Initially the system is in a general ket alpha. Now we make a measurement around the position x prime within a narrow interval dx prime around the position x prime. What is the probability that the state of the system, or what is the probability that we can measure the particle around this x prime within a narrow interval dx prime around the position x prime? This is the probability. In other words, this gives you the probability that the system collapses from a general ket alpha to the basis ket x prime. Actually, it gives the probability that the system collapses from a general ket to a basis ket but we cannot talk like that because these basis kets are not discrete, they are continuous. So we can only talk about what's the probability that the system collapses from a general ket alpha to a narrow interval around a basis ket. This is that. Okay, and we cannot say what's the probability for the system to collapse from a general ket to a particular basis ket, because we cannot isolate a particular basis ket. So what you talk about is what's the probability that the system collapses from a general ket to a narrow interval around a particular basis ket. That's what we are discussing here. So the probability of measuring the position of the system within a narrow interval dx prime around the position x prime is this mod square inner product between x prime and alpha dx prime. This is a scalar, we know that. So this is it. Okay, this is the probability. Therefore, this quantity you can call probability per unit length or probability density. Okay, you can see that this quantity is actually the component of ket alpha along the direction of the basis ket x prime. Okay, so this is like the expansion coefficient. When you express ket alpha in terms of basis kets, this is the expansion coefficient. So the square of the expansion coefficient times the narrow interval gives the probability. So the difference between this continuous case and discrete case is that in the discrete case, the square of the expansion coefficient itself is the probability. Okay, here the square of the expansion coefficient is only the probability per unit length. Only if you multiply with a narrow interval, you get the probability. So here we can say the square of the expansion coefficient is probability per unit length or probability density. Okay, that's the difference between the discrete case and continuous case. Now consider this, if this is so, then the probability of recording the position of the system somewhere between minus infinity and plus infinity, anywhere along the x-axis, is this one, integral minus infinity to plus infinity. This, what you do is in the normal integration, what you do is you divide this x-axis between minus infinity and plus infinity into small intervals dx prime, narrow intervals dx prime. What's the probability to detect the particle within each narrow interval dx prime? This one, where x prime is changing. Okay, it's continuously changing. So you add all these different probabilities, then you get the total probability. So this is the total probability of recording the position of the system somewhere between minus infinity and plus infinity. Now this is a postulate. Okay. Now let us see if this postulate is reasonable. Okay. So we want to verify that this postulate is reasonable, is logical by looking at it from two different relations. Okay. So what we want is to verify this definition. Okay. The system is initially in the state ket alpha. The probability for the position for the system to be in the position x prime, I mean probability for the system to be within a narrow interval dx prime around the position x prime is this. Okay, mod square of x prime alpha in the product between x prime alpha times dx prime. Let's try to verify this definition of basic definition of probability. So first we try to verify this in two ways. One is in first way what we do is, suppose this ket alpha is normalized, initial state is normalized. So if ket alpha is normalized, we have net product of ket alpha with itself is 1. Let's rewrite this normalization of ket alpha in terms of the basis kets. Okay, so we know this ket alpha we can express as we can expand in terms of base kets like this: integral dx prime, integration from minus infinity to plus infinity dx prime. We can express like this. Okay, we expand ket alpha in terms of the basis case. We have used the completeness condition of the basis case. So if ket alpha is this, then we want this relation. So what is bra vector alpha? The Hermitian conjugate of this relation. So it is again minus infinity to plus infinity. In bra vector, let me use a different index because we want to take this inner product. So let us say dx double prime, and instead of this ket x prime, we have bra vector x double prime, and this will be its complex conjugate. So alpha, bra vector alpha. That means in an inner product the order will be reversed. Okay, so bra vector alpha and ket vector, it's like this. So what is this? So bra vector alpha, ket vector alpha equal to 1 can be given as, you have to take the product between these two. So you have two integrals, dx double prime, dx prime, and when you take the product between these two, you will have two scalars here. Okay, so let me write this as x double prime alpha star. Okay, alpha x double prime is simply x double prime alpha star, and this is x prime alpha. Then we will have the inner product between this x, bra vector x double prime, and ket x prime. This is equal to 1. Okay, so if this is 1, instead of bra vector alpha we have substituted this, ket vector alpha we have substituted this. So essentially there will be an inner product between these two eigenkets. And what is the inner product between these two eigenkets? If we use the idea of orthonormality of eigenkets, this is nothing but Dirac delta function. These are continuous eigenkets, so this is Dirac delta function x prime minus x double prime. Or you can also write delta x double prime minus x prime. They are same. The notation is the same. Or even if we change these two factors, the Dirac delta function is the same. So let us substitute this Dirac delta function instead of this one. Okay, so we have delta x prime minus x double prime. When a Dirac delta function comes under an integral sign, then this Dirac delta function will pick only one value from that integral. So this integral will go. This is just like a Kronecker delta in a summation. So either one of these two integrations, we have integration over x prime, we have integration over x double prime, one of them will go. Let us say integration over x double prime goes. So what is the result? So we can this integral minus infinity plus infinity dx double prime. Okay, let me separate these two integrations. So we have this, we can write it like this, minus infinity to plus infinity. Write the integration over x prime first, dx prime, and then this term, x prime alpha, then integration over dx x double prime. What are the terms here? You have this term x double prime alpha star, and then this Dirac delta function. The whole thing is equal to 1. This comes from this normalization of general ket. Look at this integral involving Dirac delta function. We know that the basic property of Dirac delta function is that integral, let's say f of x double prime delta x prime minus x double prime dx double prime. Consider this type of an integral. Actually, this is this type of an integral. We are integrating over x double prime. This is our function x double prime, and this is our Dirac delta function. When you have this, what you get is this Dirac delta function. Here x double prime is the dummy index and x prime is a fixed index. So in this integration, if x double prime is not equal to x prime, then this Dirac delta function is 0. Okay, so for all positions or for all variables other than x prime, this integral will give 0. This integration will give 0. Then when x double prime is equal to x prime, okay, what happens when the result of this integration is the value of the function at the position x prime. Okay, what you get is the value of the function at the position x prime. This is the behavior of Dirac delta function within an integral. From this integration, Dirac delta function will pick out only that value of the function at this particular position. So if you use that idea here, this integration will go, or from this integration you get the value of the function at the position x double prime equal to x prime. Here x double prime is the variable, x prime is a fixed position. So what is function here? This is the function here. So what you get is the value of the function at x prime, that is you get x prime alpha star. Okay, so instead of this integration, you can substitute x prime alpha star. Okay, let me substitute that here. So the second integration has gone, and we get the value of the function at the position x prime alpha star. This is equal to 1. Okay, this is equal to 1. What is this? Here it is x prime alpha, and here you have x prime alpha star. Combining them, you can say integral dx prime modulus x prime alpha square equal to 1. Now look at the integrand. This integrand is this one. Okay, it's a probability for the system, for the particle to be, for the system to be measured within a small interval dx prime around the position x prime. So this is the probability, this integrand. Okay, so this merely states that the total probability of measuring the position from minus infinity to plus infinity is 1. Total probability is 1. So if we define this as the probability of measuring the position around x prime, then this is nothing but the total probability of measuring the position anywhere along the x-axis. So if our system is a particle moving along the x-axis, if you have an array of detectors, okay, so the total probability, the probability of measuring the position anywhere from minus infinity to plus infinity should be 1. It is 100% sure that the particle will be located in any one of the detectors. Okay, so this is the probability for detecting the position of the particle from minus infinity to plus infinity anywhere along the x-axis, and it should be 100%. It should be surely 1. Okay. So the point is that if you start with a normalized initial state, then that you can rewrite in terms of the basis states like this, and physically it means that the probability of measuring the position of the system anywhere along the x-axis is 1. It means that this definition of probability is consistent with this idea that total probability of measuring the position anywhere along the x-axis should be 1. Now let us try to verify this definition again using a second idea. The expectation value of position. See, the particle is in a general state ket alpha. What is the expectation value of position? We know that the standard definition is this. Bra vector alpha, position operator x, ket vector alpha. This is how we define the expectation value of any operator when it is in a state ket alpha. What is the idea of expectation value? It's the average of a large number of measurements. So let us try to look at this relation and see if it is consistent with this idea of probability. So for that, what I am going to do is let us express this ket alpha and bra vector alpha in terms of the position eigenkets. We have already written down the expression. Okay, so I am just quoting that. So this is equal to, you have a double integral. There is an integration from here, there is an integration from here. So you have minus infinity to plus infinity, dx prime, dx double prime. Here on the bra vector side, you have a term like x double prime alpha star. Okay, on the ket vector side you will have a term x prime alpha. Okay, then on the bra vector side you will be having a bra vector x double prime. On the ket vector side you will be having a ket vector x prime, and this operator x will come in between. So you have a term like x double prime x prime. Okay, you can verify this. What we have done is we have used the expression of ket alpha and bra vector alpha that in terms of the position eigenkets. So for the ket vector side I have used x prime, the index index x prime, and for the bra vector side I have used x double prime. That's all. Now here, what is this relation? What is this? Here x prime and x double prime are eigenkets of the operator x. So basically these are the matrix elements of the operator x in its own eigenbasis. So then what happens when x acts on x prime? When x acts on x prime, we have the eigenvalue x prime times ket x prime. Okay, so you can substitute that, and so you have This equation you can rewrite as, this part you can rewrite as x prime times what is remaining, x double prime, gravity x double prime at x prime. And what is this quantity? This is the orthonormality of the position eigenkets. This is a Dirac delta function. Okay. So when Dirac delta function comes under an integration, then one of the integration should go. So we can rewrite this as, I will write the integration over x prime first, so dx prime. Then you have this x prime. Then you have this term. Then next write the integration over x double prime, so we have dx double prime. You have this term. Then you have this Dirac delta function, it contains x double prime. So this integration will go. What you have is the function of x double prime at the position x prime. So what you get is x prime alpha star. This is the function of x double prime, and you will get Dirac delta function will pick the value at pick its value at the position x prime, x double prime equal to x prime. X double prime is the variable here. So you have this. Let's substitute. Then this term becomes you have x dx double prime. Sorry, I will rewrite this as, I will write x prime first. So x prime. Then you have a ket x prime, gravector x prime alpha here. You have gravector x prime alpha star here. Combining them, you have x prime alpha square. Then you have dx prime. Look at this relation. This relation you can write as integral, okay, minus infinity to plus infinity. What is x prime? X prime is the eigenvalue, position eigenvalue, right? What is this quantity? Mod square x prime alpha or mod square of x prime alpha times dx prime. It's the probability of getting x prime. So this is probability. So what you have is integral of eigenvalue times the probability of getting the eigenvalue. This is repeated at each x prime from minus infinity to plus infinity. Consider different positions from minus infinity to plus infinity. At each position you have the product of position eigenvalue times probability of getting that eigenvalue. This is actually the probability of getting the eigenvalue, probability of getting the position x prime, or probability of getting the system within an interval dx prime around x prime. So the position value times its probability, at the next point position value times its probability, etc. So what you get, it's a weighted average of eigenvalues. In other words, it's the average value. So when you start with this definition of the expectation value or average value, you will end up with a physically meaningful idea that this is equal to integral of eigenvalue times its probability. In a discrete case, we will see it as a summation. You refer back to the expression that we have written down in the case of expectation value of an operator in a finite dimensional space. There you have a sum over eigenvalues, each eigenvalue times its probability. Where there the probability was the expansion, the square of the expansion coefficient. But here it's not simply the square of the expansion coefficient, you have to multiply it with a finite, a small interval, because it's continuous, because of the continuous nature of the eigenvalues. So this discussion also shows that, so we have verified that if you postulate that this is the probability of measuring the position of the system within a small interval dx prime around the position x prime, then it's consistent with the idea that the probability of measuring the position in the entire x-axis, in the entire region, should be 1. That we have seen earlier. And also it is consistent with the idea that expectation value of position defined like this is equal to the weighted average of the eigenvalues, so calculated over the entire x-axis. So these two ways of looking at this relation clearly shows that this definition of probability is correct. It's consistent. So one thing we have to differentiate is that between the idea between a physical motion in a physical space and the representation of the state vector in an abstract vector space. if we so far we have been discussing the one-dimensional motion. So the particle is moving in a physical space along the x-axis. Okay, it's a one-dimensional motion. But this operator x, the position operator x, has eigenvalues from its values from minus infinity to plus infinity. All continuous values from minus infinity to plus infinity. So the eigenvalue spectrum is infinite. It's continuous, and we know that if it is continuous, it is infinite. So even though the motion is in a one-dimensional space, the physical space is one-dimensional, physical space of the system, in order to represent the state of the system, we need an infinite dimensional vector space. The abstract vector space of the system is infinite dimensional. Okay, so then what if the motion is in 3 dimensions? Okay, so what if the motion is in 3 dimensions? Then instead of position x, we can also measure position y, we can measure position along the z direction, position along the x direction, y direction and z direction. Then how do we talk about position eigenkets? How do you represent that, or how do you label them? Okay, then we can use this label. We can use a label like this: ket x prime, which is a vector. And what does it mean? It means it's actually a collective index for this. This is a shorthand notation. If the physical space of the motion is 3-dimensional, that is, particle is free to move in 3 dimensions in the physical space, then we can measure x prime, and we can measure position along the x direction, we can measure position along the y direction, we can measure position along the z direction. See, x prime is the eigenvalues, the set of eigenvalues for motion along the x direction. These are the set of eigenvalues for the y component of the motion. These are the set of eigenvalues for the z component of the motion. Each of these eigenvalues are continuous. X prime has all possible values from minus infinity to plus infinity, just like in this case. This also has all possible values from minus infinity to plus infinity. This also has. Okay. So our abstract vector space is an infinite dimensional vector space again, because the eigenvalue spectrum is continuous. It's infinite. Okay. But the physical space is now three-dimensional space. So we have to distinguish between them. Okay. Here the physical space is one-dimensional, but the abstract vector space is infinite dimensional. Why? Because the eigenvalue for the position operator x, they are continuous. This eigenvalue spectrum is a continuous spectrum. If the motion is in 3 dimensions, you have 3 sets of continuous eigenvalues. X along motion along the x direction, y direction and z direction. And this is a shorthand notation for that. Okay. So how do you write the equations? For example, ket alpha, how do you expand in terms of the basis kets? These are the basis kets now. Okay. So you can express it like this: integral. It's actually a triple integral. Okay. So in order to show that it's a triple integral, we use this notation d cube x prime, okay, which means that it's a triple integral. Usually we use one integral symbol for this. Then ket x prime with a vector symbol, bra vector x prime with a vector symbol alpha. Always remember that this symbol is a shorthand notation for this one. So instead of writing out the eigenket in terms of all 3 eigenvalues, okay, each eigenket you can label in terms of these 3 eigenvalues. Okay, so that means if you look at a particular position of the particle, you need 3 eigenvalues to describe the position: component along the x-axis, component along the y-axis, component along the z-axis. Okay. And again, remember, these are continuous, so we cannot exactly pick x prime is this much, y prime is this much, z prime is this much. So what you do is we define a small volume around this position: x prime, y prime, z prime. This is that small volume, d cube x prime. Okay, this is actually d cube x prime is again a shorthand notation for dx prime into dy prime into dz prime. Okay, In the one-dimensional case, we talked about a small interval dx prime around the position x prime. In the same way, we can think about dx prime around the position y. We can think about dy prime along the position around the position z. We can think about, or around the position x prime, we can think about a small interval along the x-axis dx prime, along the y-axis dy prime, along the z-axis dz prime. So the product of them will give you a small volume dx prime, dy prime, dz prime, an elemental volume. This is a shorthand notation for that. Okay, so this d cube x prime is nothing but dx prime into dy prime into dz prime. So it's a volume integral actually. Okay. Okay, so this is how we expand alpha in terms of the general ket in terms of the basis kets. And how do you define the probability in this case? So the probability here is, there is probability of measuring the position of the particle at the position around the point x prime, y prime, z prime within a small volume element d cube x prime around the position. This is, we can write it as mod square of x prime alpha d cube x prime. Okay, so it's a volume element which is this, and this again is the component of alpha along the direction x prime, ket x prime. It's not ket x prime, vector x prime, which is this component of alpha along the direction of this ket vector and square of that. So this is probability density, this is probability per unit volume times a volume element. This gives you the probability. Okay, this is how we, in the case of if the physical space is three-dimensional, this is how we write the probability. If the physical and the expansion also, if the physical space is one-dimensional, we have seen the relations earlier. Okay. Always remember that this vector x prime is a shorthand notation. It's only a collective index for this one. Okay. And also the idea is that if we measure, if we measure x prime or if we measure x position, or if operator x acts on this vector x prime, what you get is x prime times, okay. If operator y acts on this one, what you get is y prime, and if operator z acts on this one, what you get is z prime. Okay. Again, remember that this is a collective index for this one. So this state is a simultaneous eigenket for operator x, operator y and operator z. When operator x acts on, it's a common eigenket. That's the meaning of the word simultaneous eigenket. So if operator x acts on this eigenket, you get corresponding eigenvalue x prime. If operator y acts on this eigenket, you get corresponding eigenvalue y prime. Operator z, you get corresponding eigenvalue. Okay. And this also means that if here we are assuming that if we have an eigenket like this, measuring position along the x-axis doesn't interfere with the measurement of position along the y-axis. Okay, these measurement of position along the x-axis, y-axis and z-axis, or position along x direction or y direction and z direction, these measurements do not interfere with each other. So we can have infinite accuracy. Okay, this also means that these three physical quantities are or these three operators are compatible operators. Okay, we know that compatible operators are represented by commuting operators. So their compatible variables are represented by commuting operators. So we can say that this means that xi xj is equal to 0. Whatever be the value of I and j, and here ij varies from 1 to 3. Okay, ij is 1, 2 and 3. What you mean is x1 is identical to x, x2 is identical to y, and x3 is identical to z. x1, x2, x3 means x, y, z operators. So these operators are they commute with each other, different operators. They are commuting operators. In other words, these measurement, the position operators along different directions are compatible operators or commuting operators. So that is the meaning of this. So this index, this eigenket is a common eigenket for these position operators along different directions. Okay, so this is how we generalize the discussion of position eigengets from when the physical space is from one dimensional to physical space is three dimensional. In either case, whether the physical space is one dimensional or three dimensional, our description, our notation will be different, that's all, but our abstract vector space is infinite dimensional. Okay, if it is physical space is one dimensional, the abstract vector space is spanned by only the x operator, the eigenkets of the position operator x. Whereas if it is motion, physical space is three dimensional, our abstract vector space is spanned by this common eigenkets. Okay, x prime, y prime, z prime, which are common eigenkets for the three operators.